special call tonight, and I think you're going to learn a lot. We actually are trying to cover a couple subjects on our calls now. We'd like to start with really some top news in the world of science first, and kind of really Dr. Rouse wanted to do this to really protect all of us, protect our children and our grandchildren. He looks diligently all during the week to find some things out there that we might being tricked or we might be consuming in our bodies that are not good for us, and especially long-term consumption of that, which could cause some serious problems. And I know last week we had many of you on the call, and it was a very exciting call. We learned a lot, learned about aspartame. I know we've heard a lot about that, about what that could do to our body. There's a lot of sugar substitutes out there that we think are good for us because we say, you know what, there's hardly any calories in this, and I'll lose some weight, and it's great for me. I'm not taking that old white sugar. But guess what? We're having some problems out there, and Dr. Rouse wants to make sure that we know about that. And there is another problem out there in the sugar substitute arena, and it is actually known as Splenda, and we see that a lot, and Dr. Rouse is going to talk to us about that, but it's also masked in another name called, and you might want to write this down, sucralose. Sucralose is the same thing as Splenda. They are one and the same. So Dr. Rouse is going to talk to us about that, and really it's such a strong subject with a lot of things going on. We actually can't get to all of it in the first part of our call tonight, so we will spend the first part of next Tuesday's calls on this same subject to give you some actual clinical studies and some really things that are really alarming, and we need to hear that. So Dr. Rouse, if you can, before we talk about our main subject about why people in Japan are living so long, let's discuss this top news in the world of science with Splenda and sucralose. Dr. Rouse.
Wow, good evening, Jack, and good evening, Is Xperia family. You know, we're really wanting the very best of health for everybody, and when we pick up on items in the news that concern your better health, this is one that really should be focused upon, and like Jack said, we'll talk much more extensively next Tuesday night. But just to give you some heads up, Splenda is not a good substitute for those trying to lose weight. It does nothing for that. So don't think that you're in the race and Splenda is your game. Unfortunately, the Splenda that is being consumed and ingested, a good portion of it, biosolubility is not there. So it goes out the human body back into the water treatment system. And the municipal water supplies of all the cities in the United States, they do not break it down, so the chemistry is recycling. This is a recycled mess here, not healthy at all. When you look at Splenda molecularly, as an organic chemist, one that I am, you can lay the molecule down, the CHO molecule that has the chlorine molecule attached to it, and its first cousin, the DDT, like don't kill the bugs and ban it in America. I don't know how in the world, I have no idea how the American pharmaceutical or the American chemistry allowed such a chemical to be so widespread. All I can guess is it's greed, money, and whatsoever. It can have negative effects on the kidney and negative effects on the red blood cells. Unfortunately, small doses of Splenda kills good bacteria in the gut. Well, think about it. It's Clorox. It is a Clorox chlorinated chlorine sugar molecule. And you start putting too much Clorox in the gut, you're killing off good bacteria. That's not a good thing. It causes bloating. It causes all kinds of other allergic reactions, from shortness of breath to wheezing. Splenda can even cause heart flutter. Not good for the kidneys, not good for you, but how many people pick up the little yellow pack and sweeten this and sweeten that? Anyhow, Jack, that's just a blurb. We'll get back to it with intensity. Maybe we'll show them the molecule. We'll show them how related it is to DDT. And again, just because it is an American commodity, even though it has been okayed by CDC Atlanta and FDA America, it is not healthy for you, not one bit.
Well, Dr. Rouse, I actually looked at a few of the studies that we will talk about, and these are just really a blurb on those, a real quick synopsis, and you can maybe comment just a little bit or just give us the yay or nay. But most of the studies were what they found out that the sucralose, or Splenda, same thing, it actually reduced growth rate in newborns and adults at levels of above 500 milligrams a kilogram, also decreased thyroid function, mineral loss of magnesium and phosphorus, decreased urination, enlarged colon, enlarged liver and brain, shrunken ovaries, shrunken thymus, enlarged and calcified kidneys, which you spoke of that, increased cataracts, and abnormal liver cells. That's really tough to put in my body when I'm just trying to lose a few calories. Not a good trade-off.
Not at all. It's a money deal. That's it. And unfortunately, young ladies that are trying to get pregnant and do get pregnant, it causes spontaneous abortion in some female anatomy. So even that is a wide open danger to the human body. Not good. God never intended for us to be Cloroxing our body, even though it's sweet as sugar.
So as everyone, we don't want to leave anyone, even during this 1 week, without alerting them to where they can find it. But I know, Dr. Rouse, you told me and you sent me a paper where it's found in definitely a lot of the sugar-free products, the drinks, and also the colas, and I was amazed, even a lot of gelatins, puddings, and fillings for pies, and applesauce. A lot of the teas out there, the bottled teas and canned teas, and even in soups, and even also in, we've got in sweet sauces and toppings and syrups, sugar-free syrups. Also, here's one that you showed me, in chewing gum, especially a chewing gum that's set up to help dental care in kids. And I know we don't want our kids or grandkids doing this. And also, probably, as you sent me page after page after page of the place that sucralose and Splenda is found is in protein and meal replacement shakes. So you sent me page after page, and it's just like everywhere in those shakes that are claiming, less than 2 grams of sugar, less than 1 gram of sugar, and they're not, and a lot of these are not saying it as Splenda, they're saying it as sucralose, which is the same thing. So again, everyone, as you're out there shopping and looking, make sure you read every single label and don't get tricked. And we will next week in the very beginning, we'll kind of go over those clinical studies and actually tell you, you're going to be amazed next week at the kind of medical studies that were done and how many of those studies that were done, or how few of those, that it became supposedly said safe for the market. So tune in next week. But Dr. Rouse, what we're going to do now is turn it over to our main subject tonight, which is a study, is the longevity factor of people or of people in Japan or living in Japan and from Japan. And that's dealing with a very strong ingredient that helps us with our bodies called fucoidan. And a lot of us already know that ingredient, but I was amazed that the studies found out that people from Japan actually lived longer, and they are attributing that to the fucoidan in the seaweed that they eat there. Can you really tell us about that?
I will be happy to. And by the way, fucoidan is in major use right now in all Japanese precincts because of the high radiation from the explosions of their nuclear plants. It is the number one nutrition for detoxification. You know, when you look at it, tonight's subject simply was how to enjoy a long life expectancy. You have to ask yourself some simple, basic questions sometime. You know, what causes one person to catch a cold or the flu and somebody else can just totally avoid it? Or what causes one person with HIV never to fall into full-blown AIDS, but yet another person will get AIDS, succumb, and die very quickly? Or why is it that with serious outbreaks of infectious diseases, you know, only a certain number are stricken, and of those, why do only some people die? Recently, on a international airplane flight coming out of Europe, one of the passengers had a full-blown case of tuberculosis, a very aggressive form of tuberculosis. And when they landed the plane, then they confessed up. And out of all the people that were on that plane, 200 or 300, everybody had to subject themselves to medical scrutiny. And I think better than one half of the people on that airplane came down with the tuberculosis activity. But what made it so that the other one half had no symptoms whatsoever, yet they breathed the very same air, caught the very same tuberculosis spores? What is it that made them some sick, some healthy? Or what about the Russians who did a unique study on cholera, and in their laboratory, every single one of the scientists injected the live cholera into their blood system, and none of them died, and none of them came down with the cholera. What was the difference there? And the difference is your immune system. So how do we protect ourselves? Are we going to have to go around donning face masks? Are we going to have to limit our exposure to people? Are we going to have to become hermits? No. The solution is a whole lot less dramatic. And we're learning it from the Japanese people. And we're learning it specifically from an island of Japan called Okinawa. We're finding that the reason they are so lean, healthy, and live so long is because of their power source. It's called fucoidan. They are absolutely fending off invaders of the immune system attack with fucoidan. Fucoidan is giving them the longevity factor. It is the longevity factor of Japan. And what we're finding as we unfold all of these revolutionary approaches to scientific better health, they started looking dead serious into the longevity factor, and they found that island of Okinawa has a very large percentage of centenarians, people who are at least a century old. Can you imagine that? A bunch of people 100 plus years of age, and their secret ingredient, a little known molecule called fucoidan. That's preventative medicine right there. And you know what kind of tea they drink? Green tea, lots and lots of it. And look, when they started looking, not only the 103, 104-year-old lady sitting in the room talking to them, getting ready to go to work, mind you, getting ready to go out, do something, the key was that they even had more years free of disabilities. They had a sharper mind. They didn't have heart problems. They weren't downloaded with type 2 diabetes. And you know, the Okinawa diet really became popular a few years ago because of the green tea interjections, the fucoidans, the seaweed. And people would ask them, what's your motto when you sit down to eat? I see you eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fish. What do you do? And their motto is eat until your tummy is 80% full. That ought to tell us something right there. So what are these critical molecules? What are they? Well, fucoidan facilitates tissue regeneration. It's good for the immune function. It is the cell-to-cell communicator. We've heard of redox. We've heard of cell-cell. We've heard of all this stuff. It is it. Fucoidan is the way. And the research really is getting very intense because it's probably one of the most powerful ways to combat cancer, overcome metabolic syndrome like type 2 diabetes, and a lot of other degenerative diseases. Fucoidans are an important advancement, a very important advancement in natural immune system modulation. Now, let me explain what I mean by modulation of your immune system. Most people listening on the phone tonight have a weak immune system. They're on the slow side. They're vulnerable to cancer, to infection, to viruses, to bugs. But there are others who have a hyper-existing immune system, and that immune system is overreactive, causing autoimmune problems like multiple sclerosis and lupus and fibromyalgia, and the list goes on. And what is happening here? We're seeing people with immune systems that are out of whack because of environmental toxins. They're everywhere because of antibiotic use and overuse, because of stress, because of disease states, because of poor nutrition. You put all of that contribution into the scenario, and the imbalances in the immune function is that we have a society of hypoimmune activity, and we're meeting people out the kazoo with hyperimmune activity, and these are leading to devastating health consequences. What happens here? What happens with fucoidan? Fucoidan goes into the system. It is a perfect food. It is a neat way to fix the immune system of every single person, whether their immune system is sluggish or whether their immune system is overreacting. And it starts out by helping the T cells, the T helper cells, what we call affectionately TH1 for T thymus, H helper number 1. And when these buddy up with good interleukin, see, there's good and bad T cells, there's good and bad interleukin. Interleukin number 2 is good. Interleukin 4, 6, 10 will kill you. It'll give you inflammation. It'll drag your body down. And then we realize that fucoidan only helps the good, the TH1, the interleukin 2, and that great stuff called gamma interferon. And when the body gets a good, healthy dose of T cell, interleukin 2, gamma interferon, then it's always going to respond favorably in a favorable fashion by down-regulating all the nasty biochemical, nutritional, environmental reactions that are causing the problems. It nips the environmental toxins. It nips the antibiotic overuse. It nips the stress. It nips the diseases all in the bud. And anytime you do not have good T-cell interleukin-2 gamma interferon, then that's going to cause your DHEA levels to go down, down, down. Now, as soon as your DHEA goes down, your cortisol levels go up, and you are now burning your body out. Your DHEA is by far one of the most important chemistries of the human body, vitally important to your immune response. And if you are low on DHEA, you are aging at a phenomenal rate. Unfortunately, the good reactors get diminished when the thymus gland is not functioning properly. And then the bad boys take over, the T helper cell number 2, the interleukin 4, 6, 10. They start mustering their ugly old routines, and lo and behold, when cortisol levels skyrocket, then this antibody called IgE comes around, and it causes allergies. It causes wheezing. It causes high blood pressure. It causes high blood sugars. It causes all kinds of mess. And the higher your IgE level antibodies go, your natural killer cells, the one that are protecting you from cancer, your natural killer cells get shut off, and all kinds of diseases come around. So the question that we ask at the beginning, why does somebody catch a cold or the flu and others avoid it? Why does somebody die of AIDS full-blown and somebody else only has the HIV virus and never goes any further? It's all in their T cells, their interleukin, their natural killer cells, their gamma interferon. And the immune system, lo and behold, when the immune system gets stressed out, it'll start just producing an overabundance of the wrong kind of T cells that produce autoimmune response. So here we have a poor functioning immune system that now gets undergirded with maximized stress, and that causes the immune system to sputter, and that causes the immune system to be compromised. So people who have frequent colds, flu, herpes, the virus that causes cold sores, shingles, all kinds of things like that, allergies, if you're constantly plagued with an ear, nose, and throat, if you know that somebody who has chronic and continual fatigue, if you know somebody who has been bitten with candida yeast overgrowth, who complains of painful joints and muscles, who has parasitic infections, do you know somebody who suffers from psoriasis or eczema, or even in these autoimmune inflammatory disorders like lupus and multiple sclerosis or hepatitis A, B, C? What they need is the benefits of fucoidan, because fucoidan will rev up their immune system to prevent the accumulation of these degenerations. And our immune army needs help. Our immune army needs fortification. We need a strong, vigilant immune system. It's a must. It's a must because we live in a toxic world, and people are even pouring more and more down the drain or flushing it in the toilet. This world is becoming exceedingly toxic. And when the discovery of antibiotics came around, they started loading every child and grown-up with antibiotics, and now we have so many antibiotic-resistant bacteria that we have to strengthen our immune system. It is imperative. It is a must so that our immune systems can defend us. And this important internal army is the only defense that we're going to have against bacteria, viruses, fungi, cancer cells. And the Japanese, getting back to Okinawa, the Japanese know how to fill the nutritional gap. It's called fucoidans. The fucoidans from seaweed. And look at it. It's statistical. The Japanese enjoy far lower incidences of most chronic age-related diseases than our Western populations. And you let an Okinawan move to America, join the American Revolution, get involved with the standard American diet, and they have the same percentage of diseases that we have because they get away from their fucoidan. They get away from eating their fucoidan-rich stuff. You see, that culture, Okinawa, believes that food is medicine. Food is medicine. And that's right, Okinawa. That's the reason they eat low in calories, rich in fruit, a lot of good vegetables, plenty of fish. But the one dietary factor that stands out, that is virtually unique to that Japanese diet, is regular consumption of seaweed. Now, seaweed is a clump of algae. That means the marine organisms have mustered together, and these fucoidans are a
Dr. Rouse, I guess,
to have cell-to-cell strengthening. It's necessary. So we're looking at it. Fucoidans are able to bind the toxins like dioxin. You know, dioxin is in every tea bag, every coffee filter that has been bleached white. Anything they bleach paper-wise white, they use Agent Orange, dioxin to do it, and we're going to have to capture that. We got to find a way to do it. So people that use fucoidan are the ones who have the strongest immune system, and they're able to stabilize the progression of Syndrome X. So anti-diabetic effects, yes. Diffuse cardiac risk, yes. In combat arthritis, yes. Say goodbye to seasonal allergies. It is the rescue. And personally, I believe that fucoidan is very likely the sleeping giant that we have been looking for in cancer prevention. When we bolster our gamma interferon and curtail the IgE, the body says yes, yes, yes. The benefits of fucoidan are on the island of Okinawa, and there are more 100-year-old people over there than you can shake a stick at, and the diagram definitely points back to the fucoidans that they ingest every single day. Fucoidan. That's a neat thing, a very neat thing.
It definitely is. And Dr. Rouse, I know you have told me that these studies that you were reading about and studying on, that all those studies were dealing with one strand of fucoidan. And as you've told us in times past, that there are more than one strand. If you have 5 strands, can you tell us, is that much better than that one? Are those different strands doing different things?
You're right. The original, the Okinawa studies was done on Undaria, which is a very powerful strand. But go ahead and add 4 other select strands of fucoidans, and you probably have the most powerful home run knockout punch in the history of the world. And that's the reason, me personally, on a regular daily basis, I take all 5 strands of the fucoidan every single day, knowing that synergy is more than 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It's way on out there. It's by multiplication, not addition.
Right. And we just had a text up here from Mike and Tina from Florida that said that their children are taking the Is Life with those 5 strands, and it said their children have not missed one day of school since they have been on the Is Life.
And praise the Lord.
That is good. And then Gretchen wanted to know, in what foods do we get fucoidan, and is it in our products like Is Life?
Is Life, yes, and is great. Definitely rich. Fucoidans, as far as bringing on the fucoidan factory, nothing is as rich as the organisms found in the seaweed. and certain seaweeds are more prolific than others. The seaweed that's grown in the coldest waters, South Australia, north of Alaska, Nova Scotia, Ireland, and we harvest from all areas of that portions of the world.
Right, and so it's, I guess, for Gretchen, rather than trying to find it and all, unless she wants to eat a lot of seaweed, and I'm sure you'd have to eat a lot of it to get the amount of and maybe not get all strands, but get the amount that we get in one scoop of the Is Life. And then also we have our vitamin D3 in there, which I know that you know, as we've talked on that, is very, very strong. So I guess the best thing to do is take the Is Life. But Dr. Rouse, what a great call tonight. I learned so much, and it was a very exciting call. So we really appreciate that, and I know we're going to continue with the top news in the world of science next Tuesday, and we'll continue with actually the studies on the sucralose / Splenda, so that everybody can really know what's going on, and then we'll have another subject. So we really appreciate that, and make sure everyone joins us this Thursday night on our call here at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll have Christina Perry will be hosting that call with a lot of great people on there, and should be a very, very exciting call. And Dr. Rouse, again, thank you so much, and this was a very, very good one. I really love this call.
God bless.
Okay, thank you so much, and thanks, everybody, and have a great night, and we'll see you next time, same station. Good night.